So yesterday we have seen the performance testing definition. So what exactly the performance testing? So performance testing is nothing but to know the application performance under the different loads, under the various load conditions. So how exactly the application is giving the performance in terms of speed, in terms of scalability, in terms of availability. So to know the application performance under the various load conditions, so we'll measure the application performance in terms of speed, scalability, and scalability. Okay, so these are the things we will be testing as part of the performance testing definition. So to know the application performance conditions under the performance under the load conditions. So that is what the performance thing. So we'll start with the initial phase. Actually, how exactly the software development is going in the market. Okay, so what and all the phases will be there for the software development life cycle, and where exactly our testing is getting involved, when where exactly our non-functional testing also is getting involved. Okay, so these phases we'll discuss first, because we have to aware, right, when the testing will be started. So most of them are not aware of the real-time situation, like how the real-time working is going. Okay, so these are the different phases will be there. So any kind of software or any kind of product, so there will be some standard procedure will be there. Okay, for example, so I'm one of the company owner. Okay, so I got a requirement from the one of my client. So they want to develop a application. For example, a new bank is going to start. So for them, they need a one of that application to serve the customers, because nowadays everything is online. So if you consider in the older days, so there will be something like the bulk of uh, records will be there. So they have to update, they has to write into that particular very big records and account number. So something like it is complete like offline process, but now it is complete like online process. So if you are updating from the one location, the complete database will be getting updated. So across the globe, they could able to access that particular account, and they could able to see any persons, either the bank persons or the end customers. So they could able to see that application, they could able to see use that utilization, right? So for that purpose, so one of the customer is reached to us, they want to develop that application. So they want to develop a application. So once the person was reached to me, what I have to do? So first of all, I need to understand the requirement, right? So how exactly their application requirement? What exactly the business, and what is the requirement of that particular customer? For example, he is a banking customer, and what could be his requirement? Like as a banking customer, okay. So if he is going to develop, if he wants to start a banking business, so what and all the things will be there usually? So he wants to design an application in such a way, like, so whenever the customer is log into that particular application, so he wants to see his account links, his fund transfer functionality, and balance inquiry functionality, and apply for a loan functionality, and credit card, apply for a credit card functionality. So such kind of link should be there. So all such kind of requirements, details we will gather from that particular our customer, our client. So from our client, we have to gather the requirement first. Okay. So once we have the requirement is available with us, then we can design. So designing is nothing but, so whatever the requirement we have gathered, first we have to document those details. For example, whatever the details he should be required. So in the requirement gathering phase, whatever the things we have uh, discussed and whatever the client is expecting, so all the expectations will be documented in the software process. So that is also the documentation phase. And once we have decided with the documentation and with the requirement details, and we'll be design that particular based on this details, will be designing the phase. So the software, how exactly it should be, and that particular design will be doing in the software development. Okay, so once the requirement is completed, documentation and design is completed, and next phase it will be goes to the development phase. So where exactly the development is nothing but the developers will start the coding for that particular requirements. So based on the design, based on the requirements, so the developer will start the coding and he will construct a code, a application. So it's something like constructing that application. So in the development phase, it will be something like he will be code for the particular application and he will be construct the complete application. Once that application is completed, and the phase will be involved is the testing phase. So testing phase is nothing but, so another persons will be getting, testing people will be getting involved and they will be test that application as per the requirement. So is our application was developed or not? So whatever the requirements was there and how exactly that application is available. So all the functionality is available or not? Is all the functionality is getting work or not? So based on the business logic, is my application was developed or not? So complete testing will be done in the testing phase. Okay, so once the testing is completed, we are well and good, and based on our requirement, the application was developed. So the testing people, whoever is doing the testing in the different types of testing we discussed right yesterday. So the same kind of testing will be done onto that application. Once the testing is completed on that application, if the testing people has given something like green or go ahead, and that application will be goes to the deployment. So deployment is nothing but, so it will be started available into the end users. End users is nothing but the customers of that particular bank application. Okay, so for example, I am the customer of the HDFC bank. So I have an account in the HDFC bank. So I will be the customer to the HDFC bank. Okay, so the end user will be accessing that particular application once the deployment is completed. So after that, it will be goes to support and maintenance phase. So support means support people also, some different people will be there. So in the production, if they are getting some kind of issue, and in the production they want to update every day they want to update the balances. Okay, so in the master database they will update the balances, whatever the transactions we have done on that account. So such kind of maintenance will be done. So these are the different phases will be available. Okay, so these are the 6 phases in the software development we have available. So maybe you might have it will be something like difficult, so I will explain with a simple example. Okay, so let's take in the real time. So a person is going to construct a home. Okay, so his requirement is to construct a home. Okay, what he will do first? So when I want to construct the home in one area, so first of all I want to know my requirement. So how exactly my home should be? Okay, so what is my requirement? How many what is the SFT of my area, and what is my expectations, like how the hall should be, and what many number of bedrooms, and how the kitchen should be, and where exactly this should become. So all the kind of requirement first I will gather. Okay, so once I am done with my finalization, like this is what my requirement, this is how my home should be, these and all the things should be available in the home construction. Okay, so that will be something like requirement gathering phase. And once I am done with my requirement, and later I can go with the, so whatever my requirement, I will go to some architect people and I will provide my requirement to them, and I will ask to so they will be documented all my requirement, and they will be draw some design. Okay, the architect people will be give like the home map, right? So they will be drawing a map and they will be provided design. So something like that. So they will provide under some documentation, and once the documentation they have provided, and will go to the persons who is constructing the homes. So who is the contractor will go to that person and will provide that particular documentation and design. So he has to start the construction. So the actual construction will be done in the development. The home construction will be done in the development phase. And once the development is completed, and we'll go ahead and verify whether the particular home is coming. So meanwhile, while the developing also will be verified, and once the complete home developed also will be verified whether it has came as per the requirement or not. Okay, and after that the house development is completed, and the design has came as per our requirement. And once we are okay, and we'll be going to the house and we'll do the housewarming. Okay, and later the support. Obviously, once the persons first entered into the house, so they has to maintain the house, right? So every day there will be some maintenance should be there. So same like any kind of product, if you take any kind of product, if you want to develop, or any kind of software or any kind of application if you want to develop, so these are the phases will be there in the real time. It's something like first we have to start with the requirement phase. So first we have to start with the requirement phase, and we have to gather all the requirement from the any kind of client. So once we got the software development requirement, or once we got the product development, so whatever the product we want to construct, or whatever the software we want to construct, and such kind of time, and we have to gather the requirements from the end client, and we have to document whatever the requirement, whatever the customer requirements. So every requirement we have to document, and we have to design based on that particular document. And after that, the developers will be started constructing the code for the particular requirements. And once the developer was complete the development, and the testing people will be getting involved, and they will be test that particular requirements. So they will be test that particular application whether we got a proper as per the customer requirements, we got that application outcome or not. So if any kind of functionality is getting missed, so is everything working as expected or not? So such kind of testing will be getting done. So once the testing is completed, so we'll be going to the deployment. So that application, whatever the application was developed, and it will be goes to the deployment phase, and later on, and the support and maintenance. So these are the usual phases. Okay, in any kind of software development, so these are the common phases is available. So you can take any kind of software development or any kind of product development, even in the real time also. I explained you like the house construction. So these are the different phases, but the terminology might be a bit same, a bit different. So this is how the software life cycle will be there. Software development life cycle, we can call it as the software development life cycle. So these are the different phases we have available. Okay, so where exactly the testing is getting involved after the code is developed, and before it moving to the deployment, before it moving to the production, and after the code is developed, and the testing will be getting involved. So here is the testing phase. So inside that is our functional testing is available, and non-functional testing is available. So yesterday we discussed about what exactly the functional testing and what exactly the non-functional testing. So functional testing is nothing but, so if you open any kind of application, okay, what exactly the functional testing people will do is, so based on our requirement, will that particular business functionality is working or not? For example, when I click on the login button, so the user is able to log in or not. So when you click on the fund transfer link, the fund transfer page is opening or not. So when he provide all the details, when he click on the make a transfer, the particular business particular account transfer is successfully happen or not. So such kind of functionality, they will be verifying the functional testing. But when it comes to the non-functional testing, so what exactly we'll do apart from the functionality, so there will be some other factors will be getting involved. So which is like when I click on the login button, how fast that application is getting responded to that end user. When he click on the fund transfer button, in how many seconds the page is completely getting loaded. Okay, so when you click on the make a transfer, how much time it is taking to make the transfer. So such kind of response time, such kind of speed will be measured as part of the performance testing. So which is called the non-functionality. When it comes to the functionality, so whatever I have explained, the fund transfer link should be available. So the complete business should be available. But when it comes to the non-functional testing, apart from the functionality, it's like how speed it is getting responded. So when we are applying a multiple number of users, and how fast that application is getting responded, and is that application is stable when we are going more number of users, so will that application is stable or not, and if I'm increasing the more number of users onto that application, so will my application is scalable or not. And when we are running the same kind of application for the 6 hours of the duration, so continuously the users are getting access that particular application, and will that application is available or not. So such kind of things will be monitored in the non-functional testing. Okay, non-functional testing under the performance area I'm explaining. Okay, so this is way the testing will be involved in the software development lifecycle. So any doubts here in this slide? So what are the phases is available for the software development lifecycle, and where exactly the testing is getting involved, and where exactly our non-functional testing is getting involved. So we should be aware of the process, right, before we are going to learn any of the course. So that's the reason I have explained the software development lifecycle. So do you have any questions on this? Please let me know, I can clarify. Otherwise, we can move on to the next slide.
Hello, sir. Can you explain about deployment once again?
Deployment. Yeah, sure. Sure. So deployment is nothing but, so we have completed a development. The application developer was completed the complete code construction. So our application is ready. Okay. So our application is completely ready, and we have tested that application, and it is working fine. There is no issues. Okay. So as per the customer requirement, there is no issues. So everything we have matched as per the customer requirement, and the application was completely developed as per the client requirement. So once application is ready and we have tested and everything is working fine, so in such kind of situation, the next portion is deployment. So deployment is nothing but, so we are deploying in the production. Production means the where the customers is accessing that particular application. So the end users, for example, HDFC Bank is developed their application. So they want to release that particular application to the market. So market means, so it will be started available to the end users. For example, recently Jio has started the JioMart. So initially they have given some ad. So it is something like, so we are going to start some e-commerce application. So my Jio, so JioMart. So initially they will give the some publicity, right? So such kind of time the application is getting developed, and once we started using, so once it comes to the production means, so once it comes to the market, so it is available on the market. So where I can go to the Play Store, I can download the JioMart app, and I can start using that particular JioMart application, and I can place the orders in the JioMart, and I can get that orders. So that means, so it is available to the customers. So it is available in the market. So once that application deployment is completed, so it means it is getting available to the in the market and to the end customers. Okay, so that is called the deployment. So whenever the complete application is developed, and that will be deployed into the production, so that it will be available in the market. So once the application is deployed, then only it will be available in the market, and the end customers can be access that particular application, can use that particular service. So that is means the deployment. So this deployment will be done by the developers only. So they could go ahead and deploy that particular software. So whatever the code they have developed, they can deploy into the production servers. So where the production servers will be have access to the end customers, so they can able to access that particular application. They could able to use that service, and they could able to utilize the particular service. Like if it is a banking, they could able to log into that particular banking application, and they could able to add the beneficiaries, do the fund transfers, verify the balance inquiries. So if it is an e-commerce based application, they could search the product and place the orders, get the product, so verify the specifications. So such kind of activity will be done once the deployment is completed. So until testing phase, it will be in the local servers. So where the development environment, testing environment, so all the things will be working on this until the testing phase. Once everything is working fine, then only will we move on to the production environment. Production means where the end users will be available into the market, and where the end users can be able to access that application. So that means the deployment phase. And once the deployment is completed, so if the end users are getting access, so there will be some complaints, some queries will be raised, right? So that will be taken care by the support and maintenance phase. So these are the different phases we have available. So is it clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Yeah. So it's not the execution process. Yeah, coming to your question,
Sir,
Girish.
Dinesh,
Yeah,
sir, Dinesh.
yeah, tell me, Dinesh.
Sir, the networking team comes under the support and maintenance, sir. Networking team.
Networking team, here it is completely different. So if you
Okay.
consider for the networking team means, so it is the different process, right? Where the network people will be considered for. So can you tell me what exactly the network people will do?
Sir?
What exactly the networking people will do? So they will be taking the backup and
Yes,
such
sir.
kind
Yes,
of
sir.
thing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Backup means so whatever the records was processed in the application, so they will be taking the backup of that particular thing, and they will be updating the master database, something like that. You are telling.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay,
Yeah. So that will be comes under the support and maintenance only.
okay.
Yeah. And deployment is like execution process, right? So it's not come directly. We can say like execution process. So deployment means so simply we are making available the particular product into the market. So here is something like whatever the code we have developed, that code will be pushing to the particular production servers. So execution is nothing but, so execution means there will be some different executions will be there where the developer is developing the code. So such kind of situation he will execute the code, and when the testing is running, so such kind of situation also will execute that particular test executions. So there are different types of executions will be there. So but deployment is completely different and the execution is completely different.
Okay, sir.
So yeah. Okay, so we are clear with the software development, right? So these are the phases will be available for us. So these are the different phases in the software development lifecycle. Okay, so now, so where we are going to concentrate, so which is in under the testing and which is on the non-functional testing area we are going to concentrate. So we'll move on to the performance testing lifecycle. So this is the software development lifecycle, right? And we are going to learn performance testing lifecycle. So what are the phases is available for the performance testing also will be discussed here. Yep. So we are clear with the software development process and where exactly the testing is getting involved, and where exactly inside the testing there will be the different types of testing will be there, and inside that we are working on the non-functional testing, so which is called the performance testing under the non-functional testing area. So we are going to do the performance testing. So whatever the process, whatever the testing or whatever the development, so everywhere, so there will be some phases will be there, right? So which is called that life cycle. So life cycle is nothing but, so starting from the scratch until the end, the complete steps whatever we are going to follow, so those we call it as a life cycle here. So even for the software development life cycle also, so we have started with the requirement gathering, and until the support and maintenance, there are different phases will be there. The same way for the performance testing also, there will be the different phases inside this performance testing. So what are the process steps we have to follow to complete the performance testing process? So we call it as a performance testing life cycle. Okay, so here also same thing, almost the same thing will be there, but the naming convention might be different. Okay, so in the performance testing life cycle, so whenever we got a requirement, so one of the customer is already developed that application, the performance team has got a requirement like, so we want to do the performance testing with the multiple users. So we can also call in the market, some people will call it as a load test also. Okay, so either the load test or the performance test or the stress test, so everything will be comes to our area only. So the customer wants to know like how exactly that application performance, so when they are applying with a multiple number of users onto that application, will my application is getting behavior good or not? So the customer wants to know before going to the production itself, so they want to identify that application performance also. So such kind of situation, so once the performance team has got a requirement, so we have to follow, these are the phases. So these are the different phases will be available. So first of all, POC. So I will just very briefly explain about whatever this, and in the inside that each portion will take and will discuss what and all the actual things we need to consider as part of this each phase. Okay, so first of all, POC. So POC is nothing but proof of concept, and we have to understand what is the application and which tool will be supported for that particular application, and how much time will be required for such kind of application, and will be doing in the POC. So if whether our tool will be getting supported for that application or not. So such kind of basic, what we can call, so such kind of basic analysis will do. So initially any kind of POC before we are going to do any kind of POC. It means, for example, I'm going to start a business. So if I want to go start a business in one area, okay, so I want to start a supermarket business in one of the area. So before to that, what I have to do? So first of all, I have to analyze that area and how many shops was there, how many competitors was here, and how many peoples are living here, and how the peoples are getting their groceries. So such kind of analysis will do, right? So if I start my supermarket business in this area, will it work? Will it create my business, or will the customers will comes to us and will buy the products from us? So such kind of analysis will do, right? If we want to start any kind of business in any area. Okay, so we'll do a basic analysis and we'll do some research and we'll identify, and if it is fine with that area, okay, we can start with this area because there is no much competitors and the more people are living and they are traveling very long to got the product. Such kind of situation is there, then definitely we can go ahead and start. So the same thing here also, we'll do some kind of a research, we'll do some kind of POC to understand that application first, and will our tool will be getting supported for that application or not, and how many hours will take to complete this kind of effort. Okay, such kind of analysis we'll do in the POC area, proof of concepts area. And after that, okay, we have decided to start our business. Okay, we have decided to do the performance testing. After doing the research, and we decided to start the business, and also we decided to start the performance testing. So once I decided to start the business, so I have to know like what and all the products should be sell here. So what is the demand in this area? The most of the people, so what and other things they will be buy from the supermarket. So such kind of requirement phase we have to do, right? The same way in the performance testing also. So we have to, once we decided for the performance testing, and we have to decide and what is the non-functional requirement. So when I call the non-functional requirement, it is also same thing like requirement phase only. So we have to understand that application and what are the scenarios was there, how many number of users we have to apply. So such kind of requirements will be gathering as part of this non-functional requirement phase. So once we have gathered the requirements also from that application team, so later our actual test plan we have to design. Test plan is nothing but, so what and all the things we are going to cover, and what and all the testing will be executed, and what time we are starting, the complete plan. A plan will be designed, so based on that requirements. So once the plan is designed, so later our scripting workload model is nothing but how many number of users we have to apply. So such kind of calculation will be done in the workload model, and after that we'll be develop a scripting, and once the script is developed, and we'll go for the data preparation. So based on into the scripting, we need to provide the usernames and password, right? So such we call it as the data preparation. So we'll do a data preparation thing first, and later on that we'll run a different types of test executions, and later on that we'll analyze the results from the test executions, and we'll send the result to that application team. So these are the common phases. So these are the performance testing lifecycle phases we have available. Okay, so if you learn all these phases, so I can say like our course is almost all completed. The actual core subject is completed almost. So we have to learn these complete phases. So first, what is the POC, and what and all the things will be considered as part of POC. And I'm going to take each separate class onto these particular areas. And what is the non-functional requirement phase, and what and all the things will be considered as part of the non-functional requirement phase, and what and all the details we have to gather in this phase, and how to construct a test plan, and what and other things should be involved into the test plan, and how exactly the real-time test plan. So we will show you one of the real-time test plan, and how exactly they will be preparing the test plan also we can able to see. And also workload model. So what and other things you will be considered for the workload model. So what are the input parameters for this workload model? Okay, and after actual scripting part will be involved. the first three phases, the first four phases, whatever we have, so that is completely like the documentation, the theoretical process. Okay, so if you are good with this theoretical process, so we'll be having all the details in the handy. So directly we can grow for the scripting. The scripting is something like, so yesterday we have opened the tool, right, VGen tool. So with that tool, we will be recording that application, will be developing the script, and will be executing the different, will be applying the different kinds of concepts, whatever the concepts is available, enhancement techniques is available, and those things will be applied in the scripting phase. So once the scripting is completed, so we'll prepare a test data. So if we require any kind of dependency will be there, so we'll be prepare a test data and we'll be pushing into the script. And later on that, we'll move on to the execution phase, and we'll run a different types of load test executions like load test, stress test, endurance test. So there are different types of executions will be there. So we'll be running such kind of executions. And later, once the test is completed, we'll gather the results from that application, from the test execution, and we'll prepare a report and we'll share with that application team. So these are the phases, the complete performance phases we have available. So that is what we call, so performance testing life cycle. So most of the time, okay, most of the time will be spent on the scripting area, because if you are very confident on the scripting area, so all the remaining things are just like options only. So there is nothing technical things will be getting involved here. So once the scripting is completed, you are good with the scripting, so you can say like you will be very confident in the course. So most of the time will be spent in the scripting area, like 45 to 50% of the time will be spent on the scripting area. The remaining things will be discussed on the remaining areas and the additional tools. So when it comes to the performance testing lifecycle, the major first four sections, whatever we have available, it is completely theoretical process and the documentation process. So before we are going to start actual testing effort, so what and all the things will be required, the complete phases, these four phases will be deals with that particular area. And once the documentation is completed, we'll be go for the scripting area, and it will take some time. The scripting will be taking the major time, and after that it's common like running the test executions, gathering the results. So these are the, we can separate these three steps into the three different portions. The first four phases we'll call it as a documentation phase, and second portion we call it as a scripting phase, and the third one we call it as a execution phase. Okay, so what these four phases will be takes for us like at least 3 to 4 classes. So we need to aware the initial things also, right? So as a real-time experience person, so you should be in a position to answer like how exactly we'll be getting the details and all the things. So if I cover these 4 areas, so you will be like having some idea on this flow, how exactly we are starting the test and how exactly we are deciding the particular performance testing is required or not. So such kind of idea you will be getting. So if I cover these 4 sections, and later on that the scripting, so where the practical things will be getting involved, like developing recording a script, applying the different concepts, applying the different scripting techniques. So it will be somewhat interesting. So you can be practice, the practical thing will be getting involved here, and exhibitions also will be something interested. So how exactly we are running the load test, and how exactly we are gathering the result, and how exactly we are sending the results to the application team. So that thing will be discussed in these 2 phases. Okay, so it is clear, right? And I will be explaining the each part separately, and we'll take a separate class and we'll discuss. Yes, I got one question. So performance testing lifecycle process is same in various tools. Various tools means either it is the load runner, or either it is a JMeter, or either it is a VSTS. Yes, everywhere it is the same. Performance testing, the skeleton is the same, only the tool will be getting involved here. In the scripting area only the tool will be getting involved. So the skeleton is almost same for the every performance testing life cycle. So it not depends on the whatever I am explaining, it is not depending to the particular script. So these phases will be across the performance testing area. And Girish, for your question, also like Selenium tool. So Selenium tool is not the performance testing tool. So it is a functional testing tool where they can able to test the functionality of that application. So we will not consider the Selenium tool. So performance testing process means, So our tools will be something like load runner, JMeter, and VSTL. So whatever yesterday we have discussed, right? So those will be comes under this performance area. But the skeleton is almost same. All the phases will be same for the any kind of tool. Okay, good question, Girish.
Okay.
So yeah, now we will. So if you are clear, any questions now? So I can take a pass and I can take the questions. Okay. So
Excuse me, sir.
yeah, please.
Can you explain once proof of concepts with definition and example also?
Yes, yes. I am going to discuss each section in deeper. Okay. The next
Okay.
the process will be starts with the POC, and non-functional one class will be the for the POC. Today we'll discuss on the POC thing, and next tomorrow we'll discuss on the non-functional requirement and the test plan one class, and slowly we'll follow these steps only as part of this course. And if you complete the performance testing life cycle, so it is not going to complete it immediately, so it will take like almost the complete course will be going on to these areas only. So each section will take and we'll discuss in the deeper like what exactly things we need to consider and how exactly we have to gather the details. So every area we will discuss. So you can say like our course content from now will be the performance testing life cycle only. So if I complete the performance testing life cycle, so you will be getting an idea like end to end the process, but it is not going to take immediately. But in the 4 classes, I can complete these 4 areas, and later on we can start the scripting. Okay, so just I am telling the life cycle, what and all the sections is available in the performance testing I explained. So now we will move to the